All right, day 3, vastly different weather-wise. Blue skies, looking at the flags, a little bit of a breeze. I might actually get a tailwind, which would be a nice change. Got the map loaded up in the Garmin, got myself loaded up. I'm gonna head south. So I'll make it to New York. Good day, 7 hours, 110 miles-ish, 3,000 feet of climbing roughly. Should be good. I'll check in with you along the way again, let you know anything that I find interesting. But for now, I'm gonna saddle up and head south. See you later. Okay, well, I'm off the trail, following the GPS map again. Not sure where this is taking me. The trail was super nice. I'm over an hour in at this point. I'll just keep pedaling through this neighborhood and hopefully it hooks back up. All right, another map fail. This is the shortcut that I'm taking to get to the trail, because whatever rerouting happened, it took me to a neighborhood that was only a couple of years old, and I suppose there was an entrance here. Either way, a couple of nice guys showed me the path through their backyard. So I'll jump on the trail after a little hike-a-bike, keep on moving. There it is, the Maybrook line, I think it's called. Again, not entirely sure how Garmin rerouting ride GPS got that so wrong. All right, just popped off the trail. Now following the Empire State Trail. 48 miles in, still a long way to go. Stop for lunch in maybe another hour. See how that goes. Okay, halfway. Gotta be honest, starting to drag. My body's tired a little bit, but the trail is, it's not stimulating, and it is a lot of pedaling, right? So I'll just keep working it, stop for lunch eventually. Well, hoping to find lunch here in Yorktown. I see a 7-Eleven, but I'm gonna hope to find something. Another cookie, spinach feta wrap, sparkling water. Lunch is going to be good. It's a lot warmer today. Sweating a lot more, having to eat a lot more. So, we have 40 miles to go-ish. Might take a while. It's a little slow going on this side of the trail. Lots of road crossings. Make do. Chill out here for a few minutes. All right, it's after lunch, a few miles down the road. Feeling better. Still got a ways to go. Eating and drinking. The trail is pretty much a lot of the same. All right, a bit super congested here. Lots of traffic. I have to cross this major thoroughfare. The crazy bit though is I pop out back over there, just behind me, onto this road, and I see this restaurant, and I was like, wow, that seems really familiar. And it is, I want to say the town is Valhalla, and Oscar and I were here for his middle school NYC mountain bike race, and we stayed just up there. And he and I walked down here and checked out this little town. So I'll deal with this traffic. I'm about 20 miles maybe from the end now. And it's nice and sunny and I am roasting. So keep you updated. In the city. Way uptown, but I'm in the city. All right, that 10 minutes was a cluster F. New York, you crapped the bed on that one. This is your bike path? That's terrible. Thank God. Every part of that so far was crappy. Worst way to finish a ride ever. Anyway, now an Embassy Suites for tonight. All right, day 3 done. I even have a cameraman today for this, which is super good because I just tried to do it by myself before they got here, and it was terrible, which is par for the course for today. I don't have a lot of nice things to say about that stretch. The bridge in Poughkeepsie, yeah, that was a standout. That was 10 miles into the ride. I mean, that was pretty amazing. The Hudson Valley Trail, I think it's called. A different vibe. There was a lot of good there's a lot of good how they linked a bunch of trails again to make this Empire State Trail, but what you get with that is there's no brand or flavor to what the Empire State Trail actually is. So the Hudson Valley Trail, definitely mature. It's been well thought out. There were various places along that route, not shops and restaurants, that sort of thing. Because again, you got to remember, these were former railway lines that obviously went through some industrial areas, but it just seemed to be a little more manicured, the Hudson Valley Trail. And again, like I said, the Poughkeepsie part, like I was off to, that was a really good way to start the ride. I was hoping for more of that. As soon as I got off the Hudson Valley Trail, where I was supposed to connect with another trail, again, I don't know, the signage wasn't clear. I was probably relying a little too much on my Garmin, but I wound up in some random neighborhood and had to ask some, Jersey Shore kind of guy where this trail was. And fortunately, it was right behind his house, and he let me climb up through the woods and get on the trail. So there's a video of that hike-a-bike. The crazy part is these houses are only a year old, maybe 2, and the map still thinks that the trail entrance is their backyard. So that was just annoying. And again, that was a couple of hours in, so it was like the last thing you want to deal with. But at that point I was like, oh, okay, yay, an adventure. But then, as the day wore on, it just became more and more of things like that, where just the signage was okay because the Empire State Trail was relying on these local trails, and they were okay. There were stretches of nice 3, 4, 5 miles where you can just pedal, which was good. A lot of the intersection crossings were resolved so that they didn't have level crossings. You either went over or under, so that was a good thing. But what happens with that is that you're riding on a railroad grade. So it's either a false flat up or a false flat down. So you're not getting the full benefit of a downhill, so you're still pedaling. And of course we're in a valley, and the wind, of course, today was coming up the valley. And the same thing for when you're going up, right? So you're just riding this false flat at 2, maybe 3%, and you can see it because railroad lines were straight as an arrow. So you just know how far you have to go, and you can see it over the course of 1 or 2 miles, how the horizon is just, it looks like a climb, but it's just, you can see for forever. So there was a lot of that. Weren't a lot of people out there. Again, it was a Friday. As the closer I got to the city, the more people there were. Absolutely, the density factor started to present itself, and it was okay. It seemed to be that more people were heading in the opposite direction before I got to the city. So there's obviously a lot of local usage, which is a great thing, right? It's a benefit to have in your community. But for doing a long distance bike tour, I wouldn't recommend linking those 3 sections together. And then that brings us to the whole part of where the Empire Trail actually drops you into the city itself, right? Like you drop into the northernmost part, and that is not bike friendly for, I mean, Mad Max would have to be on a bicycle to navigate that ridiculous route. It was bonkers. The route was poorly thought through. I wanted to say stupid, just the way that you had to navigate around, but it was more about the lack of adherence to any sort of traffic flow or laws. I mean, the number of cars that were double and triple parked, the number of vehicles that were in the sharrow or designated bike lanes. It was deadly and terrifying. I understand now why there are so many bicycle related deaths in the city. And again, I had to come from like 240th down to West 37th, right? So, it was an annoying way to go. And I took the Harlem River Trail. I don't know if the Hudson River path is better, but the Harlem River one was just bonkers. And then you finally get to the park, and I was expecting a lot from the park, right?
I hear so many good things. And it was a Friday night. I should have been a little more mentally prepared, but again, I'm already at 100 miles. Like, you just want to get done. And it was just everyone, brother, sister, mom, dad, uncle, cousin. It's also graduation weekend. So there was a lot happening in the park, and that just created a giant log jam. So you really couldn't just ride away. And then you get on, 7th Avenue at the bottom end of the park, and you're trying to navigate down that, and you're going through Times Square. Maybe there's a better way for me to go there, but you're talking about designated bike lanes that are part of this Empire Trail network, supposedly to take you all the way to the southern end of Manhattan to the Battery. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to do another 30 blocks that way. So it's actually longer than that. So super duper gross. I mean, I am just covered in salt. Ate a ton. Tried to stay hydrated. I think that was a 5 or 6 bottle day. It was moving time of just under 7 hours because, yeah, there was a lunch stop, and then there was a bunch of stopping to check the map because, again, the Garmin in tight quarters up north in Harlem coming back down, it was missing some of the turns, like the relevance of how it understood where you were in proximity, like its range. It wasn't on point. So, it's the end of a 3-day adventure. I'll stitch together the other clips and end it off there.